Hey, welcome back everyone. It is now May 14th of 2022, and that means we're only getting closer to Star Wars Celebration of this year, which by the way, is going to be the very event in which both Disney and Lucasfilm announce a handful of new Star Wars TV shows, talk more about The Mandalorian Season 3, Ahsoka, and even Star Wars Andor in the mix, and even of course the Acolyte TV series regardless of that show being pretty much in limbo. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future Star Wars updates. Also, by the way guys, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support. It is greatly appreciated. Now, we're currently in a very interesting time for Star Wars. We're just weeks away, not even really all that long, from the Kenobi TV show debuting on May 27th with 2 chapters. We're going to be able to see Darth Vader in Chapter 3, by the way. That's about halfway through the actual TV series that's going to be divided up into 6 different parts. So, when you look at it in that sense, alright, there's a lot of things happening with Disney and Lucasfilm approaching a lot of different characters from the prequels, Star Wars Legends characters, and exactly how they're going to be able to build things from the ground up very progressively throughout the next couple of years, essentially. So we already know that there are extensive plans for a lot of future Star Wars TV shows that won't be announced until 2023, that are currently already in the pipeline and in the early development phase, that are going to enter pre-production by next year and 2024 as well. So with that being said, we already know that a lot of things are happening with the character of Luke Skywalker. One thing about Luke Skywalker, of course, is that they are planning to use him extensively in a lot of Star Wars projects, in a lot of new books and comics and novels, to further expand the character like never before. Now, with that being said, however, alright, right now Luke Skywalker is set to appear in over 10 new Star Wars TV shows by Disney and Lucasfilm in order to focus on developing the character further. Now, it's described, however, that one show that is currently in the early stages is said to be a project called Jedi Knight that will focus on many secret stories, of course, of Luke Skywalker, and separate shows, of course, separate stories of Luke Skywalker in the show about his young life that will be narrated by a, of course, older version of Luke Skywalker portrayed by Mark Hamill as his older self as Luke Skywalker, showing the fans his younger years after Episode 6. However, a recast for Luke Skywalker is already planned for the Jedi Knight series that is going to involve an actor, of course, that is known as Sebastian Stan, filling in for the role of Luke Skywalker this time around. Now, it's described that Sebastian Stan has already been in many conversations with both Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni about all of this, in order to complete the role of Luke during his young life. The main reason Lucasfilm is gearing for a recast of Luke Skywalker by not using Mark Hamill and de-aging him or using CGI has a lot to do with the fact that it is a very costly thing to do and to use that technology for an entire series. Now, this time around, they are set to bring in Sebastian Stan, however, as a young version of Luke, and that Lucasfilm also has backup replacements, just in case Sebastian Stan either does not work out or decides to back out of the project. However, those replacements are said to be unknown actors that would be introduced to the fandom if they are needed for the overall role. However, further, the series is set to focus on many action scenes for Luke to take part in, as well as new adventures. So let me just stop right here for 1 second. Now, to me, I think that this is a brilliant way to really explore different stories about Luke Skywalker without having to create extensive seasons that really kind of have a lot of filler or really go nowhere at times. Instead, Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni's approach to all of this, and the resolution to all of this, is each and every episode is going to stand on its own. Basically, each episode is going to be a story of its own, set at a different point in time in Luke Skywalker's life, and that to me I think is brilliant, because that's kind of like traditional television shows. You know, when you look at shows like even animated ones out there like The Simpsons, or, you know, anything like Family Guy, or any kind of animated show, every episode stands on its own and has its own story. Of course, I know those are comedy shows, but there's a lot of dramatic and serious shows that actually approach the same format, and this really could very well work to kind of just throw in a lot of live action tidbits of Luke Skywalker's, young life, working up to be a Jedi Master, essentially, and the fact that they are gearing up for Sebastian Stan to fill in for the role and take over the role of Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker. That, to me, is brilliant, honestly. I mean, you can only imagine that if they went with CGI, or if they did extensive, de-aging work on Mark Hamill, it would cost them a lot of money for a 10-episode Star Wars TV show. And that's exactly what they are planning it as, a 10-episode Star Wars TV series. We'll get into that in just a second, and exactly what they plan to do further down the road. Now Lucasfilm is, of course, taking the approach that this series will make each episode its own story that won't allow or require the viewer to watch the entire season to understand exactly what's happening. Now, Mark Hamill is described to narrate over the project as an older version of Luke, very similar to how other films were made, very much so. Now, so far, this series won't begin a script by Favreau and Filoni until the end of 2023, and that this series is aimed to drop sometime in 2025 on Disney Plus in the early part of that year. Now, the show is also going to feature characters such as Ben Solo, the Knights of Ren, a new dark side warrior that will be teased in an upcoming Star Wars book about Luke as well, and other new foes and heroes to be introduced. An outline for the show is already completed by Favreau and Filoni that Sebastian will be playing the young role of Luke Skywalker. As of now, of course, there are already taken key scenes planned for Luke that were supposed to be used in Rangers of the New Republic, and using that for this series in particular, one of which is set to involve the Battle of Jakku, a never-before-seen battle for Star Wars in live action that only the books touched on. The first season was already pre-planned to be 10 episodes long, and if successful, they are open to making this into a multi-season show. However, now, of course, it is currently labeled strictly as a 10-episode series in the making by Favreau and Filoni, and to be announced at next year's Star Wars Celebration if everything runs smoothly. Now, to me, I think it's brilliant. Alright, let's look at the big thing here that really makes a lot of sense. You're including Mark Hamill as well in an indirect matter. You have him narrating the project, acting as an older version of Luke, however not really seen, but narrating about his early days as himself after the events of Return of the Jedi leading up to The Force Awakens. That, to me, I think is a very brilliant thing that Favreau and Filoni are currently putting together. Again, the series project is only dubbed as Jedi Knight. I highly doubt that's the official title. If so, I mean, hey, good choice, good title choice, but for now, it's only the dubbed version of the title. So we're not quite sure exactly, what the actual series name is going to be. For all we know, it could be something as simple as Skywalker, But so far, it is dubbed as Jedi Knight. It is going to be heavily based on the Jedi Outcast video games. It's going to take a lot of things from Star Wars Legends in there. So you can see how Favreau and Filoni truly do care about the Star Wars fandom at heart, and they really want to make this a big success. Again, 2025, it's going to come before you know it, trust me on this. Time just flies. So, overall, guys, let me know what you guys have to say about this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
From night to moon, we hear them moans again.